up so late? Got something on your mind? Let's talk about it. My name is Coffee Dark and Sweet, and you are now tuned in to the Midnight Coffee Podcast. Here, have a sip. What up, though? Thank you guys for tuning in to Midnight Coffee, your destination for grounding conversations that hold us all to our common sources as we reach for our divine purpose together. I am at SHAHCAST Network Studios, somewhere in Detroit, Michigan, and we are in for a treat today. We have some lovely people in the studio with us, starting with Baba Ari, who is a loctician and has been doing hair for 30 years, over 30 years, natural hair for over 30 years. And we just recently met when he reimagined my locks that I had started myself, and they came out so beautiful. But upon meeting him, I saw immediately a wealth of experience and knowledge and all of that. So I thought I would bring him in to the studio so we could share some of that with the world. How you feeling, Baba?
I am so blessed to be here with you. I am so excited about anticipating some of the things you're going to ask me and the answers I'm going to give, because I'm on a mission and a ministry to eradicate this good hair and bad hair, this negativity surrounding our hair, even the criminalization of us wearing it natural with penalties. So my main goal is to give information. I've really studied the anatomy of our hair. I've studied the science in hairdressing and the chemicals and the processes of products that they've used on our hair. And I consider myself an artist. I consider myself a scientist. And I consider myself a very spiritually inspired barber, cosmetologist, beautician, hairdresser, all of it.
Yeah, you on a mission from God.
Yes.
Yes. I can feel it. I can see it in the room.
And the goddess.
Yes. Yes.
Don't forget her.
Don't forget her. I love it. Also in the studio with us, we have Ashleigh Jones, who is a really good friend of mine, who has had locks and natural hair and has gone through, as all Black women do, many different shades and facets of, expressing ourselves with our hair and everything. So I'm really glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm here for the ride. I am excited about the direction this conversation is going to go. Let's get to it.
So I really wanted to start the conversation with what is hair, right? Because if you look up the definition on Google, right, which is what everybody does, it says a noun: any of the fine thread-like strands growing from the skin of humans, mammals, and some other animals. Similar for fur, wool, coat, fleece. How do you feel about that definition?
That's it. But I can elaborate on it.
Okay, please do.
Each strand of hair is an extension of an entire body. Chemistry and organs, even our nervous system. It's an extension of it into the atmosphere. And it's a receiver of frequencies and vibrations from the cosmos. It also is a scanner. Like, for example, not to say that's who we are, but some of us live in conditions we call the slum of the hood, which is infested with roaches. And you can be standing in a room and you see the roach because your hair saw it first, or sensed it. And that happens all the time. We're not aware of it.
Or how you can feel when people are looking at you.
Yeah, there's another.
Even when you can't
way.
see them.
It's another one, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people don't understand how important it is to protect that. Like, and it's not as simple as just a coat. It's technology in it, divine technology. And that definitely needs to be a conversation.
Now, another aspect of that definition is fur.
Mm-hmm.
So if we view this as originally the Homo sapien back to all the different stages, when we became the Homo sapien, we were shedding the fur. Mm-hmm. So the fur became the hair. And if evolution is real, specifically, then our structure of hair with this spiral, coiled, curly, kinky structure as a conduit is the most efficient one. Therefore, just looking at our hair, we are the most advanced species on this planet because it's no longer fur.
Right.
Straight hair is still fur.
Right. It becomes something else. Yes.
So maybe that's what's really behind this programming our minds to hate our hair. Because, and I know you're going to get into that, about how significant that is expressed through our culture,
mm-hmm.
through our customs, through our habits, through our social aspects of who we are. I mean, all these things can be symbolic just in the style of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so much around our hair. There's a book, it's called The Art of the African Art of Hair Styling. How most incredibly, just to almost to the exact, that braids are done. Some of the things that we added to the hair, adornments, and how they're placed there so artistically. And our hair is just, every aspect of our life, we express it in our hair. India Ari, I love that sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I am not my hair, I'm the soul within, but we are. The soul within is expressed in your hair.
Yeah.
And she expressed it all the time. She was actually expressing that all the time.
In the song, though.
And in the song.
Even in that song.
In the words, the lyrics. So,
yes.
So.
Yeah, style is just as important as everything else, because as our hair is an antenna to the cosmos, our style is how we project that back to the world. Our hairstyles, and we say a lot when we manipulate those antennas in that way. You know what I'm saying? It's just like if you, when we used to use antennas on our TV, and if you move the antennas a certain way, you get a different kind of reception. You know what I'm saying? So our hair is mostly, for most people, is the way people receive us the first time. So it creates a perception just as much as what we speak and what we do. Our hair, definitely, especially when we consider, like you said, all of the laws and restrictions around wearing our hair naturally and at certain lengths or in certain textures, or you will see styles like locks banned from certain places and these kind of things. And children are being kicked out of school for afros that are too big and these kind of things. So it really is like it's an intentional kind of attack almost on something that's so delicate and precious. So yeah, how do you feel about that? How has being a hairstylist, how has that affected being a hairstylist and a natural hairstylist at that for so long?
Started out, well, I really started professionally in the military.
Okay.
1964, I was in Germany, and the German barbers knew nothing about, and then we were just starting to wear afros. Even they were regulations in the army about how long your hair could be. And we forced them to change that based on us wearing our afros. So they let it get a little bit longer so you could wear a little teeny weeny afro. We were involved in trying to express who we are. It started out a social, political, cultural statement about I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm proud of my African heritage, so I'm gonna wear my hair natural. It became a hairstyle later on. Mm-hmm. It morphed into a trend. Mm-hmm. And
like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we always had this issue Now, when I was in beauty school, first of all, when I started, I was a barber because I practiced this on my own hair, my brother's hair. When I grew up in a little small white town, there wasn't a black barber shop. So I started it because this guy that did it as a hustle, he's a horrible barber. So I started cutting my own hair than my brother's hair. But when I went in the military, I had all these skills. And so I started doing it, and I started, man, every day I was cutting someone's hair, and it got more and more and more, so I was cutting almost all the guys on the base. And so I really, really practiced my skills, kind of self-taught. Mm-hmm. So when I got out, it was a no-brainer. Go to school, get a license, and open your own business, because I always wanted to have my own business. I never wanted to work for someone, especially for the system. So I really had a problem with that. So, so I went to school, and then I said, no, I want to do women's hair. I just had this passion about doing women's hair. Plus, the afro was just starting out. And no one barbers refused to do it. They actually refused to cut women's hair because it was so against it.
Afro.
And then beauticians, I got to straighten hair. I ain't gonna, so there it was. And I loved it, so I jumped on it. So I said, well, I'm going to get a cosmetology license. Mm-hmm. And so I went to beauty school. And I was appalled because I'd never had a hot comb in my hand coming out of that oven, that extreme heat. Never had curling irons. And so then I started observing, because when I read the book, the first chapter, they said, opening out, that the patron was coming, they call them patrons, and coming to the salon for relaxation, to be relaxed, to be beautified. That was not happening in that black salon. Mm-hmm. It was trauma, it was anxiety, it was pain, it was hurtful, and then it was all that damage being done, burning up the hair and chemicals. And so I remember hearing elder women say to younger women, honey, it hurts to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Beauty is pain. I had to tell my daughter, I actually just corrected my daughter from saying that the other day. Beauty is pain. I'm like, no, it's really not.
See, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. 2024, you're saying your daughter, what's her age?
She is 6. Yeah.
Still there.
Yeah.
So I thought, there has to be a better way to do this. And I realized then that because of the afro, I said, well, this is going to be the alternative. So I'm going to really focus on that. The other part of your question was that this impacts us psychologically to a level where it's dissociative identity disorder, which is an actual
let's get into
medical.
It.
And we all suffer from that.
Yes.
Not only just our hair, but our skin, our nose, our lips, our bodies. Mm-hmm. Today, women are putting stuff in their lips to make them bigger. Now, there was an era when black women walked around like this. Thought she was angry. No, she was putting her lips in. Because during slavery, it was, so put your lips in. Her lips are too big, So this psychology that happened to us, it's amazing. We are the most incredible people on the planet to just be here. And so it infuriates me every time someone says, I'm tired of black people. Do you know who we are?
Turn up.
Do you know how you disrespect your ancestors? Because you're still here. If we weren't amazing people, we'd have been dead a long time ago.
That is fact.
Because the intent was to do that.
Mm-hmm. And survival, if your culture is survival, at that point, your entire culture is survival. So you're not on the same playing field as someone who culture is not survival, pretty much. When you look at the hierarchy of needs, right? Survival is at the bottom. If you don't know if you're gonna eat or live, you cannot focus on math and art and being abundant or grateful. It's not even within your realm of consciousness at that point. So if you're coming from a lifetime of, survivalist, it's hard to adjust to being alive, to actually living. It's a process in adjusting that. And I think that there are several people that are starting these kind of conversations and, understanding that, like you said, we in like a perpetual identity crisis situation. We being conditioned against our nature. And, there are active steps that we can take to get ourselves back. Right. And it does start with something as simple as self-care. That term is being like thrown around everywhere right now, on social media and everything. It's self-care this and self-care that. And mostly it's being used as a means to get people to buy things that they really don't need, apply things to themselves that are actually harming them. You know what I'm saying? And then they hashtag it with self-care or health and wellness. But it's the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Something as simple as how you treat your hair can affect the way that you live your life or how you see your hair. I think I was like 18 and I got to a point where, now mind you, I might put a weave on tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's not, that is a style thing more than a spiritual thing. But I'll never relax my hair again. Like I grew up getting relaxers and straighteners, and I thought my hair was ugly. I was told that my entire life that my hair was hard to manage and ugly and tough or coarse or, these kind of words, that I had nigga hair or baby or, you know what I'm saying, nappy hair and all these other different kind of terms that were applied to the crown of my head that I did not consent to. You know what I'm saying? And going through all these chemical processes and, like you said, that extreme heat that I did not consent to. And I was like 18 and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to cut all this off and start over. And I haven't put relaxer in my hair since.
But I want to get into some more things, but I want to interject this right now. I'm writing a book, From Behind the Chair, My Love Affair with Afro Natural Hair. And that's so beautiful what you said, because I started out by saying, you big-lipped, nigger-nosed, nappy-headed, black and ugly. These were the harsh, insulting words I heard from a beautiful, deep, dark, chocolate, velvet-like skin, tight, curly, coiled hair, large, luscious lips, gorgeous black woman sitting in my chair say to me. That's what I heard growing up around folks who look just like me. Now, you almost said that same thing. Now, that's how deep this is.
Yeah.
What was the problem? Why such a deep, binding, stifling self-hatred? Many of us have pondered such questions and the answers. I, Baba Ari Shen, have accepted answering these kinds of core questions among our beautiful, beautiful black people. Made to feel ugly is my calling.
Can I speak to that?
That's how I started out my book.
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
I mean, you guys spoke about black on black hatred, and I didn't, I can't say that I resonate with that when it comes to my own hair. What I had experienced happened in corporate America. You spoke on working for other people, and for so many reasons, I also don't resonate with doing so. I had a really oppressive experience in corporate America when it came to my hair. I had a set of locks, and I met Ari when I had these locks. He told me they was ugly, y'all. And he was going to redo them, so I took them out, and then I wore my hair temporarily in an afro. This was a new look for me around the office, and there was a white coworker of mine, and I overheard her talking about how she was going to bring flat irons to the job and all these other stuff. So I let her know gently, like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea, right? And so she's saying this among some of my other colleagues who are also black. Some of them are white, and they're looking. A lot of people are not really sure how to respond to this stimuli. They're like, should I laugh? Because that's not really funny. She doesn't really seem comfortable with this conversation, right? The next day, she actually brought a pair of flat irons. I know what flat irons smell like because I wear my hair, my bounce wrap, okay? I know what it smell like. So the way that they were set up, the desk were set up, with my back was toward her. So she plugged up the flat irons and I smelled them. So I turn around. She's walking toward me with these flat irons, and she thinking this is the funniest thing ever. And I'm just like,
take this lady
I'm
out
seconds
today.
away from because how do I respond? I'm an angry black woman if I don't laugh at her, if I don't take this as a joke. This was the first time that I ever really felt ostracized from my hair, put down from my hair. And then I also did not feel supported by my Black colleagues. You know, they were looking like, man, that's messed up. You know, but they didn't want to speak up. It really felt like I was in a slavery type situation. They don't want to mess up their situation with master. They getting paid. They're not going to advocate for me. They're not going to fight for me. I had a Black team leader. She came over there and was hush hush like, hey, I know, you know, this probably is making you upset. No, say it out loud. Say it. You're in the position to say it out loud. You're in that position. Anyway, I went to HR. And this is when I learned that HR wasn't for me. It wasn't for what you would think it's for. It's not for you to feel supported when you're wronged or anything like that. HR is literally to protect the interests of the company. I found this out because I went and I was so, you know, passionate about what I experienced. And this lady is like, oh, well, you know, maybe you just need a better sense of humor. And at the time, I didn't have the support that I needed to know that I could sue these people. I didn't have to put up with this. I didn't know. And plus, my life was built around that income. That's another oppressive situation when it comes to working for somebody else, and you build your life around that. So I just wanted to share that. I haven't really publicly shared that story, and I wish I knew better about how to advocate for myself in that. But it was really uncomfortable. Honestly.
Yeah, that's more than uncomfortable. I would be like literally enraged. I don't think I would have been able to go to HR. I don't think I would have made it to HR.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be taken.
But I felt like something needed to happen, and I felt like that was the appropriate audience, and it wasn't. She said, I mean, she brought her in there. She brought the girl in there and said, I mean, well, she was just joking. Maybe you need to get a better sense of humor. I mean, literally psyched me out of the feelings that I was feeling, you know.
That happens all the time, doesn't it?
And it's like, if you don't know how to properly advocate for yourself and you don't know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, you know, or what people can get away with in these spaces, you know, we really need to learn our rights. We need to learn how to work for ourselves. And you said this is hard because we're coming from a survivalist mentality, and then when you separate yourself from that, you become the black sheep, and everybody looking at you like, okay, well, you might make it or you might not, but I'm not doing it with you, because that's the hard road. I'm gonna play it easy, I'm gonna play it safe, you know, I'm gonna do what we all do to survive, and we stay there, you know. So yeah.
You know, oh, by the way, I didn't say your hair was ugly. I said it totally did not express you. That was totally out of balance.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I just said that, you know, we got to change it. We just got to,
right.
You know, and let it flow from your facial features, and also they were too big. Because that was someone else's concept of what they saw in your hair, but it wasn't you. They didn't look at you. They didn't listen to you. They didn't talk with you. They didn't.
Right.
Say, what do you see? How do you see your hair? How do you? So that was my concern. But I want to say that back to the beauty school, another thing happened when I was trying to do these services. I was burning hair and breaking hair off and burning their neck or their ear and their forehead. And every time I do it, I was like, wow, you know, and they, well, that's okay. I'm like, that's okay?
They used to it.
It's like the norm. I said to myself then, man, I cannot exploit this. I cannot do it. I got to figure another way out because I want to do this. And what was right there in front of me was the afro. You know, everybody was going to the afro, and nobody wanted to deal with it. And then I'm starting to get into, because I went to white barber school also. I went to a white college school also, where I did totally white people's hair. And it was all that science and using geometry and, you know, and I'm saying, why can't we do this with our hair? So I started using those same concepts. The difference is the hair texture itself. Straight hair, you comb it down, you create a fashion line, and you keep combing and using that first fashion line and comb, and then you elevate it by angles depending on how you want the hair to fall. That's the science in it. So I said, now our hair grows up and out, doesn't grow down. It has its own natural volume. In fact, a lot of perms, we'll get into that too, were created to give their hair volume.
That's the original. Yes, that's what a perm originally is. For them to make their hair look like ours. Yes.
I'll show you another one real deep about that. And so So I said, okay, rather than combing the hair down, keep picking the hair out. And it becomes a nice, soft, solid, because all those hair kind of get infused with one another. And when you keep picking it and picking it and picking it, and as you're cutting it, because see, you're mashing it back down with the clippers and scissors, so you got to keep, so rather than keep combing, keep picking till you get every single strand, and you sculpt it. But you sculpt it from the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the lips, the chin. Same thing they did, but rather than combing the hair down, I'm picking it out. So I called it skullmetrics. And I began doing that. And then I was in Seattle, Washington at the time. And the beauty of that is that there were very few black people. So no one was threatened by their natural hair. It was no problem. And plus it was socially integrated, very socially integrated at that time. Still is, actually. So people wore their hair natural. And then when they start, but everybody would come and say, can you do something? I just don't want a round, even, long or short or medium. I want something different. And I would say, what do you see? Well, maybe switch over that way or just. So I started doing it. Then it came in. I'm using these scientific techniques to cut our hair and sculpt our hair. And so the irony of it was that they would go out into the community. They'd be the only black person at this integrated job that was doing the integration and all that.
Unknown
And,
caller.
oh, wow. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So when they would go to their community, man, what happened to your hair? Did you sleep on it? One side's flat, or did you? But they go into the white community. Wow, who did your hair? That's sculpture. That's art. So they wore them then. They really started wearing them then. And then I saw everybody's self-esteem became, I've got this unique hairstyle. Look at me. And I said, oh man, I love that part of it too. Helping the people feel more comfortable with themselves.
That's the spiritual work.
Express themselves. Yes, ma'am. And so, but that was interesting to me, how white people gave the approval. Now I want to get back to something else, because you really made a profound statement when you say that, understanding of that originally the perm was used to make their hair look like ours, make it curly. Now, what was it? I don't know, you might be a little too young for this, but at one time, in terms of the white woman attraction to the man, it was a tall, dark, handsome, curly hair. Who is that?
Black man.
Huh. So they try to make their hair curly. Now, if they were born with curly hair, wow. Now it's the opposite with us. You're born with straight hair, wow. Like at one time with them, you're born with curly hair. Now, back to what you were saying. It was a cultural, political, social statement called the Afro, Black Power. Then the capitalistic system said, we're going to exploit this, so we're going to create a trend. I read this book, Megatrends, years ago, and man, I see it being played out every day. How they take our stuff and make it a trend. They hate it, but they make it a trend because they're going to make money. All over this entire planet, you can go to the most whitest countries on this planet, and you see white boys with their pants sagging. Where they come from? Come on. And calling each other nigger. Now, there was a process called the Jerry curl. First of all, this was when, the 70s, when integration was happening all over America except two places. You know what those are? Church, the beauty shop, and the barber shop. They were still segregated. Now, we didn't know that white people were going into their salons and saying, I want an afro. The afro, in terms of a hairstyle, became the most widely worn hairstyle on the planet. And now today, the dreads, locks, dreadlocks, which one you want to call them, are the most widely worn hairstyle. Once it became a hairstyle. It's not Rastafari no more. It's hairstyle.
Right.
It's the most
It's a
widely
hairstyle.
worn hairstyle
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
It's the locks. But going back to the Jerry curl, we didn't know that they were going into their salon and saying, I want an afro. In fact, the first chemical that they produced to create the afro was called, the brand name, Natural Man. At the time when we were calling him the man, like I said, we always said the man, the man. Who was the man? Now guess who wore those perms?
The
Those
white
afros. The white guys that wore them, the natural man. Policemen, firemen, construction workers, truck drivers, all the macho jobs. So they were expressing their masculinity by growing out their beards and wearing an
And
afro.
curling their hair.
Now, the reason why I know we didn't know that is because we call it the Jerry curl. The Jerry curl was the product in the Jerry Mac product line. It was called the Jerry curl, was the thioglycolate lotion to produce the curl. Now, when they were coming, they already had the science. Man, and Jerry Redding created it. He worked for Jerry Mac. That was his company. What happened was, once they said, well, how do we do this? Well, we already got this process. The process is to roll the hair up on rods, put the solution on it, freezes it into that shape of that rod, put a neutralizer on it to neutralize the chemicals, then rinse the hair, and then take the rod out, and you got a curl. Oh, when afro, we'll make it little small rods. They made little small rods, created, and we're looking at this, and wow, the Jerry curl, we call it that style. That
But
means
they
we
call
didn't
it
know.
an afro. Yeah.
They called it an afro. Now it has become a Jerry curl. What do you call it? A copy of our own afro. What I think aesthetically we saw was the uniformity of the curls. Each curl was the same size. Where our hair is
Not gonna do it.
not going to do that naturally.
Yeah.
So, and then I saw people who were educated, who were affluent, who were up in corporate America with plastic bags on their heads going to work and got a ring around the collar from the goop on
From
their
the goop.
collars. I mean, now, I was in Seattle at the time when all this integration was going on. So people would tell me, like one, okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of stories. One was he worked for some sort of telemarketing company. So they had all these cubicles in this big room. And so before work, everybody get together in one of the cubicles, kind of kicking around until it's time to work. So there was a group of them in this cubicle, and there was this brother who had a Jerry curl. He's got his head back against the petition, right? And so when they got, okay, time to work. So when he got up, there's a big grease ball on the petition. So they said, this white guy said, hey, Jerry, what's that there on that right there? I said, what? Right there behind your head, what is that?
The exit crazy.
And so someone said, that's Jerry juice. And he said, the guy, he kind of dropped his head, and he said, you got to put that in your hair? You got to put that in your hair? Another thing, people would tell me, they said, like, they're in a factory or something where the parking lot's right next to it. And hey, come here, look at this, come here, look at Jerry. And he'd be sitting in your car
Not looking Jerry.
with their plastic bag on their head. You know what I'm saying?
That's wild.
And then they said when they would come in, I need to take a shower because they got on a shower cap.
Oh, Lord.
They were joking. We were like a joke. And we didn't realize it. And that's in my book also. I'm sharing that. There's two things I really want to deal with. And that's the Jerry curl, the chemicalized afro, when we were wearing it for a different reason. Also, the word nappy.
Yeah.
Do you know the origin of that word?
Like a diaper, shitty.
Yes. Yes.
But that
in English language, that's diaper. And what happened was when we got off the ship, now I know a lot of us were already here. We won't get into that discussion. We know that. But the Atlantic slave trade did happen.
There we go.
There's oral history on the continent. But when we got off the ships, I was laying in our filth. Another reason why, how did we are survivalists. Why dare you say black people ain't nothing? Just that middle passage, surviving in chains, laying in your filth. And you live. I'm going to live. I'm going to survive. I'm going to make it one day,
Great.
So when we got off the ship in shackles, and all this stuff is in our hair because of the texture of the hair. Oh, look at it, the hair is nappy, meaning it looks like a diaper.
Okay.
We've embraced that word when there's no such thing as a nappy texture.
Right.
Nappy means unkept.
Shitty.
Yeah, shitty. Unstyled.
Yes.
Dookie, In fact, today, I'm just waiting. Because I did this first. This is called metrics.
Okay.
These are all the hairstyles that I did. I created these using geometry.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
And I can see it too, how the side of the afro is in line with the top of the cheekbone.
Yes, right on down.
And that's the line is cutting right from the top of her brow over.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. This is the explanation here. And that's the texture. So
that need to be in all
when
kinds of
when I look
schools.
at like the NBA, when I look at college basketball, I look at all these professionals. I mean, some of these guys with the braids, man, it's amazing. Some of the braids and
yes,
these
I have a
sisters getting
picture.
down.
Oh my God, yes.
But I see all that unkept hair. They buzz the sides. Here's all this hair just waiting for someone to style it. So as soon as I finish this book, I'm going out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to create this trend. I think I just need 3 or 4 women to wear the style. Oh, look at that. Now you're going to get into that sacred geometry.
Yeah, yes. As you said, you mentioned, you want to see it, Shaman? You mentioned...
I've seen that,
yeah.
And they're getting so intricate with this that they're airbrushing. So some of those parts are so even because they airbrush it to make it.
I know that, and it's smoke and mirrors. Some of it,
some of it,
but the
But
young
it's
lady
art.
who braided my
they-
hair in Atlanta.
these are
shout
artists.
out to Maya. She
Yeah.
is definitely an artist.
They're
Like,
artists.
turn it.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
a celebrity stylist, and her hands are just blessed. It looks spray painted, airbrushed, all of it, but it's just her hands.
It's her hands,
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was saying that to say how exact they're becoming with this,
Down to the numbers.
down to the numbers.
Yeah.
And like a lot of men are even wearing makeup now, and a lot of men are doing their eyebrows,
Yeah.
and same with the lines or airbrushing the lines in. And
That is
so
considered makeup.
It's getting so science. I mean, it's amazing.
The angles and yeah. When you mentioned earlier, you were watching in cosmetology class. You were watching like how white people did their hair and the science and numbers and stuff behind that process, and it's crazy.
And I learned
because,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because obviously originally they learned that from us. They don't even have hair that necessarily requires or can hold that kind of stuff. But the braids, the geometry, the like you said, the angles and all of that stuff, that is in our blood.
Yes.
That's literally in our DNA.
Yes.
To be able to do those things and to make those patterns. And it's not even it is art because it is our interpretation, right? But the numbers, the angles, the Fibonacci sequence, all these things, they came first. That's divine knowledge. You can't just pontificate it. Like you can't fake it, pretty much.
Well, let me share this with you. Another reason why I'm on this mission in this ministry is because 1979, how I got my name Ari Shen, Ma'at, was a brother did a numerology chart on me. But he was very advanced at that time. He was doing computers when they were DOS and all that, whatever it was back then. So he was doing it then.
Yeah.
And so he said, everything is mathematical. like a birthday, like 7 days in a week. Like
It's on purpose.
It's a math.
Yes,
It's
it's
even,
not
even our
yes.
helix coil. I mean, the basic molecule of life, the life cycle. That's math. So and the way those configurations come together. You know what I'm saying? So so he did the chart, and he took a lot of numbers, not just your birth date, and he took the time, he took the geographical coordinates in that area. He took my father, my mother, same thing. Took a lot of different, and he put it in this, came up with this formula to create this number. And he said, I don't know what it is, but Spirit said take the 26 letters in the alphabet and identify each number. So the first number was 1, second number was 17. I can't remember all the numbers, but it came out to ARISHEN. He said, I think this is ancient Kemetic language. So you should look in the hieroglyphic dictionary. Start there. There's 2 volumes. Volume 1, page 67, which is the 13, by the way. There it was. Ari Shen, chief hairdresser to the court.
Wow.
And he said court meant royalty. Was it you said that the other day? The last couple of days, someone said to me that, oh no, I remember who it was. Said to me, she said, you did my hair once when I was a queen in ancient Egypt. We're connected. And I hadn't even told her this story yet. I thought, wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I took on that name, and my energy changed. You know,
See,
my name given to me by my mother and father was Alan Vickers. I never liked my name, although people, I love that name, Alan Vickers, but I never liked it. But they gave it to me, so I still recognize that name. But my spiritual name is the one that most of my friends, people that really know me, call me Ari. But that's how I got that name. So that's why I really decided that you came here to do this, man. This is why only you did it. People did things like when they would buzz their hair and and they're coming back now, a lot of young guys, they're doing something. I've seen people paint portraits on just with a pair of clippers when they buzz their hair down real short. I did a few of those things, like this is a star. I did some of those things back then too. But I didn't get as intricate as they're doing today. When I was starting out, I thought, when I got that information, I said, this is why you do this, man. This is why you had all these hieroglyphs. All that stuff just kept coming to me as I was starting out then. So that's when I really knew. The second time was 1983. I went to Africa, which is, man, I got to go back to. That's a long time ago. When I got there, I was going through customs, and this young guy, come here. I came over, he said, get your things, go over there and wait for me. I take care of you. For some reason, I said, I want to do this, and I did. And man, they took care of me. Because the first thing I said was when someone said, and at that time, I wore all authentic African clothing. I was just into that at that time. And so when I got over there, I blended right in. They thought I was from South Africa because of my skin color. And so they would start speaking to me. And I would kind of look, and so it was kind of like, what's wrong with him? So I remember when someone said, oh, he's American. He's American. And I said, no, I'm African. I was just born in America. When I said that, man, everybody just, it just went through the whole area. Everybody said, he's here, he's cool. And so I just had a beautiful time. But on the second day I was there, the guy that was my guide, he called me and said, come down to the lobby. The elder wants to see you and bring your portfolio. I had all these pictures then, but it was in a portfolio. When I get down there, he looked just like Uncle Remus. He had white hair and real dark skin, the whole thing about Uncle Remus. That's the first thing I thought about. Man, he looks just like. And then when I went to Africa too, I saw people, man, that looked like Uncle. They look like Miss. You know, that's when I really knew that we were African. And then Colored People's Time, I saw where that comes from too. Because life comes first there. What you got to do at a certain time, that's not an issue. It's what was happening at that time.
That's why I feel so disconnected from schedules, I feel like.
Yes.
Because it's not natural
That's not
have to be
natural.
doing a specific thing at a specific time. That's not natural.
That's how they control us.
The time. Yeah. I was able to effectively control myself like that. I had a schedule every hour for the hour. That bell dinged, I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
Ooh, if we could, I'd like that.
Yeah, it was
Thank you
intense,
for
but
that.
I did it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So he looked at he's going through the portfolio and he's saying, oh, Wadubi. Oh, Fulani. He's naming tribes by the hairstyles. He said, this is your genetic memory. These are authentic African hairstyles.
Wow.
That's what I was
when
talking
really
about.
Knew.
Yes.
That's when
Wow.
I really knew, y'all. I really knew.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
man.
the divine instruction.
You
That's
are
yes.
reincarnated at this time. In fact, I think I came a little bit ahead because my dad was real old and my mother was real young. So I came here maybe a little bit early before my time. So if I was coming now with all this focus and I'm doing all this now, but I'm going to. That's why the Most High, I'm 82
Wow.
and I feel great. So the Most High is keeping me here for
Yes.
this reason.
And you are living in your purpose, and so
Yeah.
many of us miss it. You know,
Yes.
so it makes sense that you're still here.
You said I had this mission. That's how it feels
Yes.
when you
Yes.
know you're doing something you're supposed to be doing.
You know, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I give thanks. I would do this for nothing.
Amen.
Right now, I've trained a lot of people. They're charging more money than I do, but I refuse to do it. I just say, look, your blessing is that you can make a living from this. You don't have to do nothing else. You can make a living. That's the blessing.
I feel that way about
And
food.
yeah.
Yeah. Everybody
Express
eat.
that. Yeah. Yes. You know, something is coming to me now, especially with the co-op that just opened, People's Co-op. This is where we're going to unite around food.
Okay.
Everybody got different issues about everything, but everybody, would you say? gotta
Everybody
eat.
eats. And that's a double entendre because it's like, yes, everybody eat, but literally the way I perceive family in my community is everybody's eating. Like, so it's like it means two different things. Like, yes, everybody need to eat, but also everybody on my team eating. Like, we all
Speaking
ain't
to
nobody
the
hungry.
personal economy of
And
each other, yeah.
and food preparation is culture.
Yes, that is
Each
also
culture has its
divine.
own
And yes.
Oh, yeah.
way of preparing food.
Absolutely.
And the people that really got it are Africans. You
That's
know,
where all the
even,
spices
even
come from.
Chinese food started in Africa. Even Italian, all that stuff, pizzas, that was Africa. It's called pan bread. Oh, you know, did you watch that movie, High on the Hog?
I watched
Yes.
some of it.
Yeah, I
I didn't
watched it.
finish
Did you get the
it.
message? You must have food to live. They didn't know how to prepare food. They're alive on this planet because of us. The most stable food in America, one of the staples. It's not food, really. Mac and cheese. Who
Ooh,
created
that's my
mac and cheese?
favorite.
A black
Everybody
man.
get-
Black man.
You know that's my
Yes.
favorite dish.
A black scientist.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. That is genius.
Put the science on it. Please put the science on
Yes.
it. Food is so much science, so much numbers, so much
They
chemistry.
were dying when they first came. They didn't make it through the winter. We fed them. We healed them. And they turned on us. Like that old, that song about the snake. The beautiful snake in the snow.
You gotta teach
And
us.
this
Yeah.
woman walked by and said, "Oh, you poor snow, you freezing snake."
Oh,
Brushed the
trying to
snow,
help it.
took him home, put her silk and all these linens and all this around his body. Oh, you're so beautiful. Put him by the fireplace. Went off to work, came back. Oh, you're alive. Oh, grabbed into her bosom and he bit her and she said, "Oh, I saved your life. And you're gonna kill me?" I said, "Hey, I'm a snake. That's what snakes do."
Right.
Correct. I learned my lesson from not listening to people when they announce who they are and what they are. It's like you think you know better because you had your experience with this person. You're like, no, you're not that. You're not a
I love what Chris Rock said about
Yeah.
about relationships. He said you meet the representative
First, yeah.
first. You don't meet the person.
Right.
After you get into a relationship, now here comes the person, and they're not what the representative was.
Yeah, that person come out swinging because it's been being suppressed for weeks or years or months.
Yes.
That person come out swinging.
Right.
Yes.
You know what my blessing is? Because people tell me all the time, man, this wisdom, the way you look at things. Standing behind that chair. She's one of them. You did too the other day. You gave me just a little something that's always there. And I realized that you are the teacher. You're the first teacher. Soon as if it happens the way it's supposed to happen, child comes right out on your breast looking up at you and starts learning right then. Just in your eyes and your lips and your facial expression, start learning then. So you're the first teacher. My blessing is that because my mission was to care for these women who wore their hair natural and the afro, they were the visionaries. Every time, and I was nomadic. I've traveled all over this country. I've had salons everywhere. And I listened because I started out in beauty school. And when I saw that mirror, so what's that mirror for? It's the protocol. When you ask the client what service they want, at the end you hand them the mirror. Is that the service you want? And I noticed most of the time, that's not what I asked you to do. Ding, light went off in my head. You didn't listen. Your ego, I'm the hairstylist. I'm gonna know what I'm gonna do. And you do it. But you must, as a hairstylist, listen to the service and then use your skills to accomplish that. And I said, how do I do that? Listen. So I started listening. And my ego would fly when I'd hand them in. They said, wow, that's the first time. You did exactly what? So then I began to listen, period. And there were times when
That was beautiful.
most of the women, when I had salons, there were women. Other stylists were women. A lot of times it was just braiders when the braids were happening. So I always had some braiders. So there were times when because most of the hair I did was women. Because I didn't have any men, because you could get a haircut. Even as an afro, you could get a haircut. Only those guys who are very meticulous about their hair, they would come to me. But the average guy, they go to the barbershop. They like that barbershop experience. But women, you don't want to go in the barbershop. And also the barbers didn't want to cut your hair. And if they did, that was the main thing I did. You cannot give a black woman a male haircut. And that's right today. And you've gotten so used to it, you want it. This buzz thing and all that, that's a man's haircut. I mean, if you have the facial features now, that it complements it, yeah, but not many of us do.
Right.
Not many women do. So they get this man's haircut. I never, because, again, going back to the science, there was definitely a difference in where you cut white man's hair and a white woman's hair. And they were taught that. So I realized that. I said, wait a minute. That's a whole different hairline
It is.
than a man. You're going to carve that in? So that was the first thing that you saw when I would do someone's hair. They would, even if they didn't see the geometry in it, if you will, they would say, man, there's something different about your hair. And that's what it was. I really liked it when a lot of women would say their husbands didn't like it or their mates didn't like afros. And I said, just wait. Wait till you go home. He's going to see you for the first time, baby. You're going to see the real you for the first time. And it would happen. They walk home.
Say to somebody.
And they told me stories like, wow, come in and wham, baby. And man, just go into a thing because that was the first time. Now, locks. This was and I expressed this many times, that the first time I could feel that same thing that white men feel when they say, when she lets her hair down. Sister have her hair all up, and you get to the intimate moments, and oh man, the feeling you get. You drop that hair, it's amazing. So Just want to share that. Because as a man, brother, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do prefer men to do my hair too. I've had
And that's
two
another
guys
thing,
do my
yeah.
hair. Yeah.
See, because we want to make you look beautiful. We want to do that.
It's
Whereas
no,
a sister,
right? It's no.
Oh,
It's
energy.
interesting.
Yeah. Ari's done my hair, and there's been another guy who's done my hair before I had locks, and he would press it, do all of that stuff. So it's
Now,
a different type
even-
of care.
That's interesting.
even when I did the cosmetology services, I always had that thing about, making her look beautiful. And I would tell them, why don't women? I said, because it's Willie Lynch, they're competing.
Yeah.
I want you to look better now.
Yep.
So they're not going to do the work. They're just not going to. And me, I'm a man. I'm a man. Of course I want to make you
wanna
look
see
beautiful. I
beautiful
want to see
women.
beautiful women.
I thought it was interesting that you
All
said.
women are beautiful, by the way.
I appreciate
Every
that.
single. If you just look at her as an individual, you'll see it. You compare her with some other,
Yeah.
whatever facial features are supposed to be, or body, or what. But if you look at her just as she is, especially when she's so comfortable with it, man, every woman is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Every black woman.
I've been personally working on that perception. Comparison is the thief of joy, and a lot of times it's not. I wouldn't say it's necessarily that I'm consciously comparing myself to other people, but when I'm being consistently bombarded with this idea of what beauty is supposed to be, it's easier for me the more I pay attention to, like you said, just people in general. And I'm able to appreciate all the differences and all the different flecks and skin complexions, and you know what I'm saying? Because that is what makes everybody beautiful. Like, it really is. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. But there was I noticed earlier you said when you looked up your numbers with Ari Shen, you said that you were a hairstylist to royalty, and then in life you chose to serve as majority black women. I did
queens.
notice that.
The queens. Yes, the queen mothers. Yes.
So what?
And they were conscious. See, these were our conscious women in our community. One of the most conscious women on this planet was Fannie Lou Hamer. If you just listen to that woman, man. Phew. And then over in Liberia, there was that woman with the Liberian Revolution. She led that, and she said, Fannie Lou Hamer said, "I'm tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." And she said, I'm tired of being tired. Almost the same words,
When women get fed up. So, yeah, it definitely starts shaking. I noticed too, as far as when it comes to what we call the products that we use, specifically like relaxer. Like, what about my hair needs to be relaxed? Especially, think about a child processing that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, or they would say stuff like, "Oh, you're not decent. Go do something to your hair," or something like that. So now my hair is not decent. These levels of brainwashing almost. It's in the words relaxer. Why? Why does it need to be relaxed? Like, have you ever? You said when you were in cosmetology school, you practiced doing like relaxers and that kind of stuff. What kind of experiences did you have, like specifically with relaxer and
I'm so
black
glad
hair?
you asked me that question, because I was in awe. Because I'm seeing the chemical burns. I'm seeing the scars left after a few days, and the oozing sores and the hair coming out with it. And you scratch the scalp out and the hair comes out with it. Now you get a little bald spot. The ears, the little burns on the ear and the back of the neck and the forehead. And I'm seeing all this, and it's like it's the norm. I'm like, this is appalling. Why?
I used
There
to
has
get
be a better
relaxer
way.
every 6 weeks. So every 6
Okay.
weeks, hair done every 2 weeks. That's
And now they know ovarian cancer. And you know that did this science were white women. So now they're suing the companies And every black woman could get paid, but there's very few black women joining because they don't care. They got crack addiction.
So creamy crack.
Creamy crack addiction. They don't care. It's like people saying, this is what happened to you when you smoke cigarettes. Well, keep on puffing. You know? In fact, it's interesting. It's called BOPSA, Black Barber Beauty Supply organization that came out of, in the early 70s, when they had the spoofer set by their door everywhere. You know, they had this, we got integration. Here's that one. See, they're in that desk, right? The assistant to the assistant to the assistant. That would be the physician. So you're just sitting there in the office, right? So this brother, he was with the consumer, what is it called? Consumer Protection Agency, something like that. It's a government agency to protect the consumers. And so they were the ones that forced the cigarette companies to put on the label, can be hazardous to your health. Well, he's sitting in his office, he's looking at all these ads in Ebony Magazine, Essence Magazine, Black guy, that said, you know, we'll use this product here, it can be smoother, softer, silkier, longer, all these things. But man, it ain't happening. It's breaking my wife. Her hair's always breaking off and she all these problems. So he contacted them and he said, I'm from this consumer and, you know, you're going to have to put this label on it. And he did the whole entire thing. So from his office, he said, I'm going to do something. So he did that. So Revlon, white company, immediately took their products off the market, off the shelves, put the label on, put them right back on.
Change the label.
Yeah.
Oh, they did add the label.
Put that
to
on
it.
it. Yeah, put that warning on it. Could be hazardous to your health, et cetera, et cetera.
May cause burns.
It's called burns, breakage, yeah. And then at that time, too, they started implementing where you had to sign a release. I don't know if y'all had to do that one time, but it got to the point where they said, you have to sign this release for me to do your hair.
They had a Boondocks episode about that.
Yeah.
They had a Boondocks episode, like, literally describing this process. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a real thing.
Yeah, me
it
neither.
became a little trend for a while. So here's this being done by Revlon, and they took the lion's share of the market and had it ever since because they fought it. They thought, brother, why are you doing this? He said, I'm not doing. I'm telling the whole industry to do this, and you must do it because this is what happens. There's side effects to these products, and so they finally did it. But they formed this organization to fight it. While they're forming the organization, Revlon takes the whole market. You could only get that. French Perm and a couple of, but Revlon was making all those products. So for a while, so after that, they had it. Now today, there's not one, there may be one or two black-owned product companies. All the rest of them are owned by, they bought them all out.
Yeah. What do you think, the companies or the social economical status will have to benefit from putting these hazardous chemicals in products like that?
You know, it's like the capitalism, you know, make money by any means necessary. But here we have a chance to capture this incredible $1 trillion market if we just started wearing our hair natural. Now, if we wait too long, they're going to catch up with that too. They're starting to train. They're going to black barber schools and know how to cut black, and they're getting good at it. And they keep going, they're going to surpass us. So we better be careful. But right now, we have a chance to capture this market by just stop doing it. All them Chinese and Indian and whatever, they be gone because their whole market, everything in that store is based on the black woman needs in her hair, everything. And if we just stop doing it, they got to move.
They gotta go somewhere.
They got to go somewhere else.
But it's so all these product options and all of this weave and all of these colors and all of these things, it's such a huge part of our culture. There are healthy alternatives to a lot healthier. Let me say that healthier alternatives to a lot of the products and processing that we go through currently. But as a means of expression, as a culture, especially Black American women or women in general, really are really tied to their, they can't really separate themselves from that level or ability of expression and being able to, like I said, I might wear a weave tomorrow kind of thing. Just if that's how I'm feeling like I want to express myself that day, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? But the damage is when, like I said, when I was 18 and I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't understand what I was looking at. You know what I'm saying? And knowing when I cut my hair off, oh my God, it was one of the most beautiful experiences I ever really had, and began to really embrace myself and wear my afro and, let my hair just kind of grow and go through its changes. This is like my 4th or 5th lock journey. I
definitely had 3.
Yeah.
3 different ones.
Especially for women. The biggest market is cosmetics.
It is.
And it affects all women.
We love being able to do that.
Not only black women, like you got black women bleaching their skin. You got white women going in tan salons and burning their skin up. Mm-hmm. You got, every aspect of it. It's someone trying to be like something they're not, and they exploit it.
Torture.
Yeah.
It's
you got
torture.
even white women, within white women, it's blonde, blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
As the ultimate, So even they're trying to look like what they consider the beautiful woman, the blonde, blue-eyed woman. And now they've incorporated, first it was large breasts and little butts. Now it's large breasts and big butts. So now it's like the black woman. But it's so deep, now we got black women going in getting surgery. And I'm sorry, sister, you can tell. Why would you do that?
It's ridiculous.
It's just like these false eyelashes.
I'm not playing.
It's getting out of control.
Yeah, the BBL craze is sick, and then people are dying.
Torture
on the way back.
Genocide.
They are not even being able to sit on the plane. I don't even know how they're getting permitted to get on the plane. They can't sit on the plane because their ass is fucked up. Literally.
Ain't that something?
Like, it's sick, and then it's like a weird smell that comes from it because you have this rotting tissue. It is something I can never.
It's perverted. To go to that extreme.
Loving yourself at every stage.
That you actually butcher your body.
Yeah.
And I've written and heard and read poems about the metaphor of taking a knife and cutting away at the parts of yourself, or even the phrase "cut off your nose to spite your face." But it's like it's becoming a literal thing that is happening like consistently. We say cookie cutter, but there is literally a cookie cutter cutting out the same exact woman over and over and over and over again. That's so damaging to like the psyche of the social community.
The young lady Lotto from Atlanta, the rapper. She is at 21. She got a surgery, and she was just speaking to how she was influenced by the culture, how she was led to feel like that was the only way she should express herself, being a part of the music industry. So it's just so pressing of a situation for us to discuss,
have a specific type of body.
Yeah.
That brought to mind when you said that there's a lot of sayings that go back to the European culture, like not having a so poor.
Pot to piss in a window to throw it out of. Yeah.
That's because
they were so nasty.
The tanning companies, you could sell your urine to them.
What?
And make money. So the poor Europeans, if they had a pot, then they could go sell their urine to the tanning companies. So they say, you so poor, you ain't got a pot to piss in. That's where it comes from.
Wow.
There's so many of those sayings.
I thought it came from them not having like plumbing in their house, so they would literally piss into a pot and then throw the piss out the window.
No, that's what they did, period. Before we introduced plumbing to them. Before we used toilets. In fact, one of the highest, I can't remember what his position was in the parliament, but it's risen to a level now. He's next to the whatever the head of the king. But he was the guy that carried his pot to shit in.
Piss pot, which is
carried
a
around,
for some people.
so he became very close to him because he had to wipe his butt too. That was his duty, to carry it around. Whenever he set it down, he could pot in it. So now it's a really high position.
Is that
chancellor or something?
Oh my God, brown nosing, like the whole new definition.
There's another one.
Do that mean something different than what we think it means? It means
Throw the
something
baby
else?
out with the bathwater.
She said,
Oh, yeah.
You know what that
Yes,
comes from?
yes.
They didn't take
No.
baths.
Yeah, or they
when
used to all
took
use the
bath-
baths together.
Same bath. So the last to use that water, now it's real dirty.
It's the
Was the
baby.
children, the baby. And sometimes you gotta be careful. You might
Sometimes
throw
they
the
literally, the
out,
water be
and the
so
baby's
dark they
still in
cannot
there.
see that the
Listen.
baby
Yes.
is in the tub.
I had a teacher in 7th
That's where that
grade.
comes from.
That
And
was
there's
my
so
first
many of
time
those
hearing
things.
that. Miss Smelly was her name, ironically. I hope she'll never hear this podcast, but she told us that.
So it's not just the word nappy.
Yeah,
There's many of those little things
Levels,
coming
yeah,
from
a
this-
lot of levels,
this
yeah.
European
And it's more than
culture.
just our hair. It's the
Yeah.
way that we speak to each other, the way that we shrink when we go into corporate places. Those examples that y'all gave, I remember picking scabs out of my head as a kid and oozing green and hair coming out and all of that stuff. Like
And what
trauma
about-
straight up and down.
The pencil, scratching your head under the
Or
wig.
patting it like,
or
"Ooh."
patting it. Oh, that's in the
Patting
book.
it
I
like
said,
this.
stop patting your head.
It wasn't this last like journey though. Like I told you the process, like me kind of doing it myself and kind of just like filling out, like you said, my face, my hair, filling out, oh, they too thin, let me, double strand them and this kind of thing. And this is the first time in my life I felt like my hair was a luxury item. It is so beautiful,
And that's
from
how
my
we thought
scalp
about
literally
it.
to its ends, like, and it's so beautiful. And I'm just like, I never knew it could be this beautiful. Yeah.
Every single organ, every aspect of our body is connected to that strand of hair, even our muscles, because it's called the auricularis muscle, and it's vibrating. And I think that's another reason why we're the most advanced species on the planet, is because that's what causes that kink and curl too, is that vibrating muscle. It's constantly vibrating.
It's like a sound wave. And
Yes.
that's why we go 4C. That's a frequency. That's not just a type of hair, that's a frequency.
Frequency.
And it's
You know
not
what?
enough of them in
4C,
those
that's
cosmetology books.
That's in the book too. That's 4C was created by a guy who has no experience with Afro natural hair.
Because it's the only one in the book.
Yeah, but he did it.
Yeah.
It's in the Skull Metric book or the book that you're writing right now?
Book I'm explaining that.
Okay.
It's
There's
in the
no such thing as a
cosmetology
4,
book, too.
1, 2, 3, or 4C.
Right.
That's the degree of curl. Our hair is curly, kinky, wavy, coiled, spiral, even straight. Like your hair texture is kinky straight. Well, you're actually wavy, kinky,
Yeah, I was
straight.
gonna say it's
I was
some
gonna say
wave in
wavy.
there.
Some wave in it. And you even have wavy straight on the back, kinky,
In the
wavy
front.
straight in the front,
Yep.
and then combinations of it on the sides.
That's why I'm doing my hair.
So you can't just say
Amazed.
1C, 1C. So I wanted to share that. I'm not that I'm saying against. And who came up with that was Andre, who is Oprah Winfrey's hairdresser.
Oh.
But he came up with that because he used a lot of science in what he does. But it doesn't matter. You're still damaging the hair at its molecular structure. No matter how scientifically you do it, you're still doing that, bottom line. So that's why I call myself, have a PhD in professional hair damage. That's my PhD.
Professional hair damage.
Because I went through it for a number of years trying to do that stuff. And I got to the point where in 1983, I said, I'm not doing it no more. It's a contradiction to my lifestyle. I became
Thank
a vegan.
you.
I started practicing yoga and meditation, Tai Chi. I'm running and I'm doing cross training. I'm running marathons. That was a total contradiction to my lifestyle. Plus, man, a hairdresser's got about 15 years. That's it. 'Cause you just breathing those fumes.
Yeah.
As you press that hair. Even braiders, burning their hair at the end, breathing those fumes. I used to go, every time I would clean the salon at the end of the day, the whole mirror is smeared with this from
Chemicals.
the fumes. Just burning the ends. So it's a lot of hazards in this profession.
Yeah.
And here I am, 56 years now. In 82, I'm cool. Most people don't last this long.
In general.
In general.
Let alone.
They have respiratory
yes.
issues. They have
Yeah.
respiratory issues.
Yeah.
Also, the perseverance it requires you to stay
To
in a
stand
discipline.
there
You're
in
disciplined.
discipline.
Yeah.
On a
That's
real
beautiful.
mission.
It's a beautiful thing. So many
So
people give up when something starts to get unfavorable along the journey.
But I
you,
couldn't.
yeah.
And now I know why. Because
Yeah.
that was my purpose for being here. Is to provide this service. Because if I hadn't have done it, it wouldn't have been done. Every city I was in, I brought it to the city. And I started, and I would share. See, I never was trying to make money per se. That was my main goal. Because back then, if I'd have thought I should have charged. Every time I taught someone, I should have charged. No, I shouldn't have. But I'm just saying, I never
could've.
thought about it. I could have.
Right.
I could have.
Right.
I said, no, I'm giving this. Because my goal was to help lift the whole industry. I can't do it. And that was the other thing I noticed. Man, you can't do everybody's hair. But you can
Facts.
teach others.
And you can't let everybody do your hair either.
Right.
All money ain't good money.
No.
And having that discernment keeps you blessed in your discipline as
Yeah.
well. You know.
So I'm just blessed. I'm so thankful. I have no regrets.
When you're doing what you're supposed to do, you have everything you need.
In fact, I was approached by El Sassoon. You ever heard of El Sassoon?
I heard the Sassoon name.
Yeah. He was from England. He was the guy that came. And see, I realized that we were doing the same thing. He's the guy that came to America with this concept of cutting the hair, sculpting the hair. So the cut was the hairstyle.
Like asymmetrics and that kind of thing.
all that. No blow dryer, no curling irons, just the cut. I was doing the same thing. So when I saw him, I said, wow. So he saw some of my work once, and I was at when he first came to America, it was 1974. It was in San Diego. And so I went to the show, and that was my second wife. She had this hairstyle in. And we purposely went there just to make a big presentation, right? He walked on stage and he just, and he didn't say anything. The clapping stopped. He's standing there and they, what a fantastic looking couple. Come up on the stage. I stood up and I said, Mr. Sassoon, I'm honored that you asked me, but I came here to see you.
Wow.
And I sat back down. And then the whole time they were up there, all this stuff, and that was my other thing. When I saw these white boys doing that stuff on stage, I said, man, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not just gonna be in this shop, I'm gonna get on that stage. Because they were doing it back then. And that's what got me inspired about becoming a platform artist. Because I saw some men, Paul Mitchell and everybody else seen these people. So, but at halftime, one of the stylists came out and said, Mr. Sassoon would like to see you in the dressing room. So I went back, and he said, I'm going to open my first shop in San Francisco. I would like you to be the manager. And I said, thank you, but I have my own space, and
See,
I think I want to do my thing.
saying no when you're supposed to say
And
no.
I realized, but in my mind, I said, no, I'm not going to be Granville T. Woods.
That's not your vision.
I'm not going to be Elijah McCoy. I'm not going to be George Washington Carver, who those guys used. Elijah McCoy. That's where the term "the real McCoy" comes
Yes.
from. His stuff was so exact. Oh, that's a McCoy.
That they knew. It couldn't be duplicated.
Couldn't be duplicated.
Man.
And so Edison, big. That dude was. All those people were.
That's what I meant earlier when I'm like, that's divine information. It literally cannot be duplicated.
Yeah.
It can be, you can get close, but you're not gonna be able to spin. First of all, you can't spin their hair anyway. But you're not gonna be able to spin that geometry out if it's not in your blood. If it's not like what they say, biological memory. Yes, it got to be in your vibration.
And people that know that, they tell me all the time, man, you should have. I said, no. Now that I realize now, I'm very glad that I did. Because, man, I'd have been caught up in that stuff that we see some of these people now that Cat Williams is talking about.
And get distracted from your mission.
Yes.
Yes.
Let your
I'd
yes
been
be
caught
your
up in
yes
it too,
and no be
because
your no.
Vidal Sassoon had he had products, he had clothing, he had everything. So that meant I'd have been up in that level. That's Illuminati. That's the Bilderbergers.
Bilderbergers. What's that?
The Bilderbergers.
What's that?
That's a so-called secret organization.
Oh, Bilderbergers.
Bilderbergers. It's only called it because they met at this hotel in Switzerland. First time they met, it was the Bilderberger Hotel. So that's why they call themselves that. They're
Okay.
above the Illuminati. The Illuminati Bilderbergers. They got another organization.
Okay. I
It's
feel like
above
they're
it
not
all.
secret organizations if they're not a secret. And that's how they play in our face.
That's how they play it. They play it in our face. So
It
right
ain't
in
no
our face.
secret.
But the thing to watch now is the World Economic Forum. Look it up.
World Economic Forum.
Watch them. I think they're at the top.
Okay. So before we wrap everything up, I want to appreciate you for coming. I want to really thank you for sharing your story and wisdom and all of that with us. Very exciting, very, I'm so full. Thank you so much.
We got to do it again because there's so much
to discuss. Yeah.
There's so much, but we kind of, but there's just so much more, especially the DID, the dissociative
identity disorder. It's levels to that.
Suffering from.
Yes,
ma'am.
It's so many levels
So
to
many
that, and we
levels.
do need to talk about that for sure. Yes,
That's
you
our
one of the
issue.
first other. I know we got to wrap up, but you one of the only people that I hear use that term because I've been saying it for a while. Like, we are in a perpetual identity crisis. I for sure feel like I have been in a perpetual identity crisis for a very long time, and trying to break free from that is insane. So I'm grateful that you.
Well, let me share this since we're on it, but we're talking about this more. But our personality is in our DNA.
Yes.
Each one of us had a specific personality that's coded. So even that, trying to become a different person.
Being conditioned against your nature is hard.
You can't do it.
Yes.
You can't do it. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
So, and then, we're at a time now when they're talking about transhumanism.
Mm-hmm.
That means part machine, part human. That's where they want to go with this. So not just our identity as a human being, that code that's in us, but they're trying to actually create another human. Did you hear that term 50 years ago, transhuman? No.
I wasn't here 50 years ago.
Oh, but I'm just saying, that didn't exist. Yeah, that didn't exist. Yeah. But it's here now.
Right.
What do you want people to take away when it comes to having any type of, but I'm gonna say intimate relationship
You
with
weren't
their
here 50
hair?
years ago. Say that again, I'm sorry.
What are there any following statements that you want to let people in on about their hair and how to have a relationship with it?
Touch it, feel it, connect yourself with your hair. Touch it every day, feel it, appreciate its texture, not have this negative attitude toward it, but just appreciate it. And I think that it starts right up there, and it comes all the way down. So I think foundationally, we got to start, because we hate our hair. We just don't like it. There's $1 trillion industry on the fact that we don't like our hair.
Ourselves.
Ourselves.
Yeah.
That will actually do that. And also, we're the most religious people on the planet. How dare you be so religious, but you don't honor what your
what God
God
gave you.
created.
Blasphemous.
And you even got some of them spokesmen for them saying that that's proof of the curse. In fact, I'm just going to say it. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said that.
Has said what specifically?
The curl kink of our hair is a curse.
Oh,
And he said you can prove it because our eyebrows are straight.
That's the
eyebrows.
wildest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, look it up.
I don't.
The video's still
I
out
don't
there.
even.
Look it up.
That's the wildest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Ashleigh, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being vulnerable about your
Girl,
hair.
Love your
journey.
hair.
Yeah.
Just love
Yes.
your hair
Yes.
Is there
like I do.
Anything?
Join me in this. Let's love our hair.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Anything you wanted to add about?
The music on, the cue on. It's like it's the
Yes.
curtains closing.
It's a part of the process, though. The music come on before the show
Yeah,
actually
thank you for
ends.
having me. It was great. I never told that story before either. Now they come looking for me. I'm gonna get that check because I'm
Right.
like, y'all know this happened.
Right.
Say, Ashleigh and I get to talking about, we be on here another hour.
Right. That's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother thing.
Whole nother vibe, really.
Yes. Thank y'all so much once again. My name is Coffee Tharkin Sweet. I am your humble host, your caterer, your person.
Thank you so much for
guys
having me.
for listening.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. I was sweating so bad the whole time.
Well, we was in a trance for a minute. Too,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
I'm so happy that you were able to express those things. We don't have a lot of voices, elder voices that are present and loud, and we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm honored and I'm blessed to still be here to speak to this because, and you and I have talked about this, that
Yeah.
this is my life. It's this movement, not just in the hair, but this whole movement about the awakening to who we are. I was in my early teens, or just going into my teens when this whole movement started in the 50s, civil rights movement. And I've been an activist. So not only have I researched and studied this, but I've actually lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so blessed to have lived, especially the
To
60s,
see it.
when you could just, Black Power, and just feel that vibration go through your body.
Mm-hmm.
Just walking down the street and see a sister with her hair.
The Black
She
Panther. I
smiled
can
at you
imagine
when you
having
smiled at
lived
her.
then. Like we see it in the
yes.
history books, but you were there, and that's amazing.
In the trenches with the Black Power.
That
with
changes
the Black
things
Panthers. I was
because
with
it's
I
in
didn't
you.
join,
It's
but I was
in you
always
though,
there.
because you
Yeah.
saw it. We
The
get to
Nation
hear
of
about
Islam,
it.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
So my
Topographical
father-
Research Center. One of our first organizations was the Topographical Research Center.
Mm-hmm.
When they came to Gary, Indiana, I helped them open the chapter.
Wow. Yeah, we got so much to talk
So
about.
I've lived this thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I've been to I saw all Amos Wilson, Van Sertima, you name it, Dr. Ben. I sat there and listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I read their books. James Baldwin, man, I started reading him, and I just love the way he writes. Just the way he writes got me, And even Malcolm, I never saw him in person, but every time he was on TV, I saw him. I was watching.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that I really, really, really identified with. And also the shrine. In terms of a religion, I could identify with that more because it was coming from ancient Kemet. Not the shrine, but a Sarah set. They were coming from ancient Kemet, so I could identify with that in terms of religion. But I've lived all of this stuff, y'all, and I'm so blessed. Still here, still active. I still got my energy. I still got my mind. And, I'm just honored and blessed.
Thank you.
So let's do it again.
Yeah, for
Do you
sure.
have another copy of that book, or you just got that one?
I just got this one, but I do have some more copies.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to reprint this and sell it as a collector's item. Once I get my book out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reprint this as a collector's item.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Are you against the? No, I ain't gonna say that. How do you feel about the term, calling your hair dreadlocks versus locks?
I was going to get to that. I'm glad you
Yeah,
asked
why
that
you ain't
question.
asked
But
on
we'll get to
there?
that next time. Yeah.
Oh.
Now, Bob Marley said, dreadlock Rasta. So here's this competition thing. Now back when the Afro came out on the East Coast, they call it the natural. Oh, ain't no Afro, that's a natural. West Coast, it says, I ain't no natural, it's an Afro. So that's the same thing with locks and dreadlocks. Originally, dread was not, it was respect.
Yeah.
Because respect and fear is almost synonymous.
Yep.
According to capitalism, how they did this thing, it's imperialism, repression. They replace respect with fear. So fear is connected with respect. And so this was a fear of them, but it was respect. Damn, look at these people. Damn, I dread them. And so it became dreadlocks. Then it became this other thing. Because Rastafarianism, if you really understand it, Rastafarianism is based on King James Version of the Bible. Right? Jah, Rastafari. Jah is short for Jehovah. Rastafari is Hashleigh's original name. Ras, his first name. Tafari was his last name. He changed it to Hashleigh. So they're saying God, Jah, Rastafari, they're saying him. So when he came to Jamaica, man, they was like, God is here. Because they say that he's in the David line, King David line, and the Judah line. So that makes him God in person now, to the Rastafarians. So once people understand that Rastafarianism, when they do the Ubangi, which is a reasoning, they start with Genesis 1, and they go all the way to the Bible. And then they start back over again. That's what they do. That's what they call reasoning. So it's based on King James Version of the Bible, by the way.
Right, which is, we all know is
It's like that old
watered
story.
down.
That old game where you have a line of people and you whisper something to that person, pass it down. By the time it gets
Watered down.
down,
Telephone.
it's a
Talking about
whole nother
telephone.
story. That's the Bible.
That's the Bible. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were misinterpreting too.
A lot. A whole lot. Yes.
Because
Yeah.
why do we call it Mother Earth and Mother Nature? If Goddess is the creatress, don't it happen every day in life? Don't you create the
Yes, sir.
inside
Get it
your
twice.
body from every single organ in your body,
The material.
the
Yes.
material to make that fetus? Come on.
And the material to hold that. People don't understand
Yes.
that that's an explosion happening
Yes.
inside your body, and you got to hold on to it.
Yes.
That's powerful.
So why would you be the weakest? That don't make sense. Common sense tells you if it's about a living organism has the main function to reproduce itself and to evolve, not stay in this stage, keep evolving and reproducing. That's the main function. Second one is how it reacts to its environment. So if we just understood that, then we'd understand why we're in this predicament. We didn't do this. This is the environment that we find, and especially after
Just
a
got
couple
through saying
hundred
this.
years. This is all you know. You're born in it. We don't know nothing about something else some other time. We only know this. And so we react to it. And everybody has their own individual reaction. And then we collectively do it when we start believing in something. Hate to say it, but that's religion.
That is religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once we get that one,
You
and
believe in
what
things you
blows
don't
my mind
understand.
now is that in Africa, man, Christianity is the fastest growing religion.
Yep.
Look at his attitude.
Yep. I know an African pastor. I was like, damn. It's like you, a
And man,
Christian
them
pastor.
dudes, man, they doing all